Welcome to Sputnik, orbiting the world with me, George Galloway.
And me, Gayatri.
Bangladesh, one of the world's most populous democracies, continues to be populous, but has gotten a whole lot less democratic.
Last year's general election in the country was boycotted by virtually everyone, except the ruling party. Fewer than 10% of the population voted. The reason for it being the unprecedented decision by the Prime Minister to refuse to hand over power to a neutral caretaker government in the run-up to the polls, thus helping ensure a free and fair election.
Since then, Bangladesh has cascaded from one violent crisis to the next. Political murders are proliferating, kidnappings and disappearances too. A personal friend of mine, a member of parliament, Ilyas Ali, is one of those disappeared, kidnapped at gunpoint and never seen or heard of again. But it's not just personal in my case.
The absolute mutual antipathy of the two ladies at the top, on the one hand the Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, daughter of the slain founder of the state Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, and on the other hand the leader of the opposition, Begum Khalida Zia, widow of Sheikh Mujib's successor. It's a given and will never cease.
But though tireless efforts are made in Bangladesh to criminalize the politicians who just left office, it has been rare for either side to threaten the lives of the respective leaders. Until this week. As we speak, the leader of the opposition has been locked up in her office, literally padlocked in, and surrounded by thousands of armed troopers. More than that, she's been sprayed with gas and pepper spray and is reportedly finding breathing difficult. Democracy may be being murdered in Bangladesh, but if the opposition leader is murdered too, a nation of 160 million people will become literally uncontrollable. Joining us now to make sense of it all is Humayun Kobir, Special Advisor to Mr Tariq Rahman, Senior Vice Chairman of the Bangladesh Nationalist Party. Thanks for joining us, Humayun. Bring us up to date. What's exactly happening in the country right now?
Well, thank you, George and Gayatri, for inviting me here this afternoon. George, Bangladesh is a country close to your interests, and particularly in your role as a former member of parliament.
I represented the largest
in
number of
you represented the largest Bangladeshi community in the UK, Europe, or outside of Bangladesh, anywhere in the world. Yeah. What stems the discussion here is that on 5th of January 2014, we had a farcical parliamentary election in Bangladesh where 153 parliamentary seats, a parliamentary majority, were elected without a single citizen being casting their vote, which is
unopposed. 153 unopposed. MPs unopposed.
Yes,
because of the boycott.
Out of a potential 90 million electorate, hardly a single citizen, eligible citizen who are entitled to exercise their democratic franchise, did not vote in this election. This is Sheikh Hasina's regime today is an illegitimate government which is not owned by the people. It only has a questionable, perhaps a questionable 10% of, eligible voters who voted in that election. 153 seats, a parliamentary majority without a single, without the eligible electorate having their say. Prior to the 5th January 2014 elections, the farcical elections, the partisan elections that the people of this country, of Bangladesh, overwhelmingly rejected because, neither it reflected their will and expression. The international democratic community condemned those elections in terms of participation. It did not reflect the will or expression of the people of Bangladesh. Sheikh Hasina promised that she was averting a constitutional crisis by holding those elections. But in fact, what she did at the time, she brought about a constitutional crisis. So you had the tenure of the last parliament extending to over nearly a month and a half after the farcical elections of 5th January 2014. The parliamentary legislature in Bangladesh has 300 seats. You ended up with 600 parliamentarians. You ended up almost with a 100-member cabinet. So you had two cabinets, basically the cabinet that existed prior to 5th of January and post 5th January. So in fact, her one-sided election when the International Democratic Community was saying, you need to hold an election that is participatory, that is inclusive, wide public opinion in the country. All print and broadcast media run public polling showed that almost over 95% of the people wanted a neutral caretaker government to administer the elections because they don't believe
which had always been done
before, and it was part of the constitution. And she, went ahead with the one-sided election, also promising a dialogue that, I need to avert a constitutional crisis and immediately I'll resume dialogue. But it's been a year now. She has not resumed dialogue. She doesn't have the mandate of the people to govern the country, and she cannot be given any chance to go on like this, illegitimately.
So a new constitutional crisis has become apparent. The leader of the opposition, no less, a former prime minister of the state, is now padlocked inside her party office. More than that, she's being sprayed with gas and pepper spray. Yeah. Her life could be in danger. The consequences of that couldn't be more grave, really, could they?
You said a new constitutional crisis has come about now. Constitution in Bangladesh has gone out the window, due to the autocratic nature of Sheikh Hasina and her illegitimate government. She has enacted and amended the constitution to enact legislative measures that the constitution of Bangladesh can never be changed again, even after her period, ends. It is absolutely ludicrous and farcical and absurd. Could you have that here in Westminster? Could you have it in any parliament?
Well, mind you, we don't have a constitution.
Yes, you don't have a written constitution.
Maybe that's a better idea. So what's going to happen now, then?
She fears any leader who she fears Begum Zia because of her democratic credibility, in terms of her attachment to the people of Bangladesh. Remember, even during the period of 2006, when at the back end, when we had the interim military-backed administration come in, Begum Zia didn't leave the country. Sheikh Hasina did. So she is much more engraved among the people of Bangladesh. She fears her democratic acceptability and her credibility. And out of that fear, she is trying to bar or isolate Begum Zia from the people of Bangladesh. But that will...
Is she able to communicate with the people from the office?
She is. She's giving statements regularly in terms of statements are being issued by her office. She is issuing them directly. Similarly, Mr Tariq Rahman, senior vice chairman of the Bangladesh Nationalist Party, last Sunday, in fact, called upon the people of Bangladesh. His speech was aired from London live by a private TV channel, Ekushe TV, ETV. Subsequently, following his speech, after the TV channel aired it and it received popular democratic response, he called up for the people to engage in a democratic uprising to oust this government. So after receiving popular response, now the government has shut down that channel, arrested Mr. Salam of ETV, who is the chairman of ETV, on fabricated pornography charges. So you can see the farcical nature of this government.
She's digging herself deeper and deeper into this hole. If David Cameron padlocked Ed Miliband into the Labour Party headquarters and sprayed him with gas, he would be enhancing the popularity of Miliband many-fold. The same is almost certainly happening here in Bangladesh. So what's Sheikh Hasina's way out of this?
I think what Sheikh Hasina has done is she is opening up a can of worms. The analogy, the English analogy of opening up a can of worms to sort of duck one bad decision, one bad action, one bad policy. She's opening up another. She's committing another bad action. And, she's running out